Anyway. All right. Now, for those of you who don't know, my name is Michael Forrest, and welcome to It's Go Time. Before we get going, I'm going to ask if you could all stay off of the stage area here. This way, nobody blocks the display, and it gives me a little bit of room to move around, do the whole presentation type deal, right? Now, if I can direct your attention to the menu wheel in your lower left, you're going to notice at the very top of this menu wheel is a microphone icon. When that microphone icon is clear, that means we can hear everything that's happening in your environment. But when it's red, like it has just been turned to, that means you're muted, and that means we can't hear what's happening in your environment. So if somebody comes into your space and says, "Hey, are you still on that thing?" Feel free to answer them because we're not going to hear any of that. But do notice that just because you're muted, that doesn't mean you can't participate. You can and should use this pink cheek smiley face in your menu wheel. When you click on that, that opens up your emoji panel and gives you a lot of variety of options with which to express yourself, right? So if I'm up here and I share something deep, something meaningful, something powerful, and you feel it inside and you feel it building up, right? You can just let it out, just let it flow, just like that. Maybe backstage I got some backup dancers and they're going to come out and we're going to break into Go Time the musical, and you're going to be all very impressed. You're going to throw up the applause that I can live for, and I can take a moment to drink that all in because it feels good. All right, now, if I ask you guys a yes or a no question, you can say yes by smiling like this. You can say no by frowning like that. If I do or say something funny, you can do the silly face emoji to show that you're laughing, right? And then there's this. This is not how you ask a question. We will be taking questions and comments at the end. This is how you let me know something's gone wrong. Like I'm sitting here waving my hands around, it looks like I'm talking, and you guys don't hear nothing. And I see about one hand go up, so I'm going to keep on going. But if I see five go up, I know there's a problem and I need to address immediately. Maybe the screen behind me, maybe that's bursting the flames, right? That actually happened one time when moderators have a good sense of humor, and we used to give them Terraform for special effects. But then one day they tried to burn down the event, and that's why I stopped doing that, right? So yeah. So that's your options there. You also have the X you can press in the middle. That'll close the emoji panel. But it's a good idea to keep it open during events like this. It gives me feedback. It lets me know how I'm doing. But also, more importantly, it lets the people around you know what you're experiencing. So if the person next to you starts going like this, that means they think something that's going on is funny, right? And you may not agree with them. You're like, well, I don't agree with that at all. I'm going to stand over here. And you can do that. This is VR. All right. Now, Go Time is an event for Oculus Go users, but all are welcome. So if you're on another device, feel free to hang out. You might pick up some useful information that helps another, Altspace user, and that's kind of what Altspace is all about, right? Helping each other out. So you might pick up some useful tips there. Okay, now being on an Oculus Go in Altspace, it can have its challenges, all right? And we're going to go over how to fix some of this. Most of these things are solvable, and the ones that aren't are manageable, right? And speaking of challenges, I've been in bed for about the past 2 years or so due to a medical condition. It's getting a lot better, but my controller keeps spinning around like this. Okay, it's kind of weird. It's getting a lot better, but when my headset came, I was really super psyched to put it on. Do you guys remember that when you first put on a headset, right? That feeling of being taken away to another place? It's awesome. There's nothing like it. And when I'd been reading about Altspace for a while, right? So when I came in to Altspace for the very first time, I stepped down to the load screen and I looked up. And when I looked up, what I saw the sky, right? And it looked a lot like what I remembered it looking like. And I was grateful. I was so grateful I started volunteering that first day, right? And I started moderating events, right? And what happened was my battery would die before the event was even over. And then I'd have to charge up, I'd have to track down the event host, I'd have to apologize for flaking out. And I got off to kind of a rocky start because of it. But I wasn't going to take it lying down, kind of lying down, but you get the idea. So what I did was I started asking questions. How can I improve my device performance? And I started to hear some stuff, right? Like I was told, for example, that this laser pointer here, right? I was told that I wasn't going to be able to work this on an Oculus Go. And that turned out to not be true. These slides up here, I was told that I was going to be able to work these slides. And that turned out to not be true. And I was told that despite having a background presenting material just like this, that my device wasn't reliable enough for me to be an event host. And that turned out to not be true, right? So, it told me that there's a lot of misinformation between, what people think it's like to be on an Oculus Go and the reality of that experience, right? So I started exploring like different solutions and coming up with things. And, it turns out, because listen, it's not to say that there aren't problems beyond the Go. There absolutely are. But the majority of these are solvable. And the ones that aren't are manageable. And I'm going to show you how to do that. There's two paths you can take. You can work with the device you already have on your head. And so before you leave here today, you're going to have some stuff, that you can do that we're going to try together. And you can also upgrade your experience to exceed the limitations of your device. And I say it that way because, listen, those of you that have been here before, you know I can't stand that term, right? It's thrown around a lot. There's some other terms too, like weaker device, inferior device. You hear this kind of stuff a lot. And it's really not true. The Oculus Go, I feel about that the way most people feel about their first car, right? It's a great introduction to VR. You don't have to worry about the complexity of two controllers. It's really just a great way to get into it, at an affordable price. It's a really fantastic device, and so, that being said, because, listen, if you hear it every day, like, somebody comes up to you and says, I don't like your shirt. After a few days of this, you're going to start thinking, it's not their shirt they don't like, right? It doesn't feel too good when you hear that kind of stuff. But remember, there's another term that gets thrown around Altspace a lot, and that's communities. There's a lot of, diverse communities represented in Altspace. And, when you're, in there, you got to remember that the device that you're wearing is just a vehicle that brings you into VR. You're the important part of that equation. You got to remember that you're not your headset any more than you're your house or your car. I find it pays to remember that. All right, so now let's start with the device you're already wearing on your head, right? You've got, you may not realize this, but your device loses power even when it's not in use. Your device is always checking for updates to apps. It's searching for updates to firmware. Maybe it's got a pen pal on the other side of the world. Maybe your headset's got a whole secret life you don't know anything about, right? So, what you're going to want to do, right, is you're going to realize, like, when you're coming on your headset there, that the battery power, if it's down to 20% and you come into Altspace, your screen's going to flicker around. Right? So you have to make sure through advanced planning that your device, you always start out with 100% battery power. And the way you do this is, like, let's say that you look at the AltsVR, website, and you look at what the schedule says, and you look, oh, Go Time's on tonight. I've heard really great things about the host. I've heard he's got great hair and he's got this shirt that you're starting to see everywhere, right? And you're going to go to it. What you want to do is about an hour before the event starts, you want to plug that device in, right, and make sure you're going to have 100% battery. And, so yeah, you're going to do that. You come in with 100% power. And as soon as you get that headset on, right, the first thing you should do, as soon as you see that Oculus home screen, as soon as you're in VR, the very first thing you should do is that middle button that you turn the device on with, right, press and hold that down for about 4 seconds. When you do that, you're going to see 3 buttons appear in the air. The middle button is going to say restart. When you press that restart button, it's going to restart the device, but it's also going to clear out all those temporary files. All those updates, that pen pal thing, all that stuff's going to be refreshed. I like to think about it as clear in my mind before I come into Altspace. Now, when so you got 100% power, you've cleared your mind, you step into the load screen, and when you come into Altspace, you've probably noticed what an important role body language plays in here, right? If you're in an event like this and a moderator comes up to you and they start going like this, right? That means don't do that thing, right? And occasionally you're going to notice, like let's say somebody gets up on the stage and I start going like this. Right? That means, get off my stage, right? But you're going to notice from time to time that your real world hand, might be here, but your avatar's hand might be up here. And when that happens, if I go to wave somebody off the stage like that, all you guys are going to see is my hand going like this, and it's going to look like I'm waving at you, going, hey, everybody, welcome to Go Time. And I'm not doing that. I'm saying, get off my stage. It's a dangerous place, right? So what you want to do, right, is you want to recalibrate, recenter it. And the way you do this is if you look straight ahead, right, now on your controller, you've got a trackpad, and below that you have a button, and below that you have a button. Don't do this now, because if you touch that bottom button, you got to think of that as like an eject button. When you press that, you're going to be taken out to the Oculus main menu, right? But this does something else, and this you can try. If you look straight ahead, right, and you hold down on that button, on the bottom button there, and don't let go, after about 3 seconds, you're going to see a white circle spin around in the air, right? And then your hand is going to snap right into place. And when it does, take a good look at your hand and ask yourself, is this where my hand is in the real world? If it is, if it's comfortable, then you're good. If it's not, do it again. Do it as many times as it takes till you feel comfortable. And only you can determine, what's comfortable for you. Okay, now occasionally you're also going to notice that your menus, those round circles on your lower left there, occasionally they're going to move around. And sometimes they're going to move around in places you can't reach very well, right? And somebody will say, open your main menu. And you can be like, I can't reach that thing. What do I do, right? Well, what you do is you got to remember that on an Oculus Go, your main menu is always in your hand at all times. So if you can't reach this button, or maybe the wheels move in front of you and it's not comfortable, what you want to do is you want to look straight ahead, right? And just below your trackpad is a button. It's that middle button there. And when you press on that one time, your main menu is going to open up in front of you, right? And if you're looking straight ahead and you press that button again, your menu is going to close. But when you close your menu, you're going to notice that your menu wheel here with your emojis and your mute button and your personal space bubble and all that kind of stuff is going to be right where it belongs in the lower left. All right, and this is a great way to recenter that. All right, now, when I was losing battery power, one of the first pieces of advice I got was to turn down my brightness. And I didn't want to do it, right? I wanted to have the best graphic experience I could have in Altspace. And to me, that meant having my brightness way up, right? Retina burning levels. I mean, it was painful, but my graphics were awesome. Or so I thought, right? What this meant, what's going on there? Pull the bean. What are you doing? Okay. All right. Good deal. Okay. So yeah. So what happens is, so I had my brightness way up, and the advice I got was to turn down that brightness. And so I went in. If you go to your Oculus main menu, right, not in Altspace, but when you first start on the device, on the right side, you're going to see where it says settings, and then when you press settings, you're going to see halfway there, in the middle there, you're going to see brightness. And when you press on brightness, you're going to see you can have it on auto. So I turned auto off, and then each time, right? I came in Altspace, I turned down my brightness a little bit more. There's this big blue bar there that controls the brightness, right? And every time I came into Altspace, I turned it down a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more until finally there was no brightness, the brightness was completely off. And I came into Altspace, and when I came in Altspace, I couldn't believe what I saw, right? I went up to this tree where I learned how to moderate. There was a tree in this space where I learned, and I'd start the events out there, and I go and I looked up at it, and I saw it looked so real. All right, it was like the best graphics I've ever had in Altspace. So what you should do is if you turn your brightness all the way off and turn off the auto brightness, right, you're going to have better graphics. Your device is going to have better. It's going to perform better, right, and most importantly, your battery is going to last longer. Firebreeze, we're going to be taking questions, comments at the end. Something wrong? Kind of give me a nod. Something up? You need me to stop? All right, here we go. I'm going to turn off mute here. What's up? What's going on? Going once? Can you unmute yourself, or I won't be able to hear you. So my hand go up. I think you're ready to begin for that. Not going to unmute? Okay, cool. I gave it a shot. All right. So I'm going to mute it up again there. Okay, cool. No worries. All right. So yeah, turn off the brightness all the way down. Now listen, Go users get a bad reputation in Altspace for this one thing I'm about to show you, and that is, so let's say that you're a new, a new user, and you come into the campfire, right? And you're walking up on a group of people, they're talking, looks like they're having a good time. They're standing over here talking to Knight Rider over here, and we're, having this discussion with Red Spark 87, and we're standing here and we're talking and all that. And all of a sudden, right, you're walking up to them, and all of a sudden they turn and face you. You haven't said anything, but they just turned and looked at you, and they're looking at you, right? And then they come up to you and they go, "Are you want to go? Are you want to go?" And that doesn't feel too good when that happens, right? It can be pretty off-putting. But what they're experiencing is pretty off-putting too. What they're experiencing is, essentially that they're standing there talking to their friends, and all of a sudden they hear a voice, and that voice is incredibly familiar. It's their own voice, as it was in the past, because there's like a sound delay, right? What happens is on the Oculus Go, the microphone is very sensitive. So the sound comes out of the ear straps, and it gets picked up by the microphone and it gets projected into Altspace. I mentioned earlier before the event started that Altspace should really come out with like a sound mirror so we know what we sound like. And this audio feedback thing makes it hard to talk to you. Fortunately, it's really easy to fix. On the top of your headset, you've got two buttons on the left-hand side. The leftmost button is the volume down button, right? And just to the right of that is the volume up button, right? And when you press either of these buttons, you're going to see these vertical bars appear in front of you. Some will be solid and some will be clear. Right? What you're going for is to have 4 clear bars on the right side, so you'll be 4 ticks away from the maximum volume. Now, this is going to turn the volume down enough so that the sound won't be picked up as easily. Now, there's a trade-off for this. I mean, people are going to they're going to start being nicer to you because they're not going to hear their voice coming back, but you may occasionally have to strain to hear people. So what you can do is, remember, you still have one good hand in the real world, right? So you can use that. What you do is, you can try this now. Put your left hand up to your ear and cup it. Right? You're going to notice right now that my voice gets louder as I'm talking. You hold your hand up like that, my voice is going to get louder, but it's still not going to get picked up by your microphone, right? So this can help an awful lot. But one thing that'll definitely fix it is if you get a pair of headphones, and by getting that pair of headphones, you can, the only voice coming out of your avatar after that will be your own, right? Another thing you can do is get a pair of inexpensive earbuds. In my case, my wife went to the library and they gave her these free earbuds, and she came home and she showed me, "Hey, look what I got," and then suddenly they disappeared. Right? Very scary. They just suddenly went missing. But good news, they reappeared a short time later and, attached to my device, and they remain there to this day. Right? So, creative acquisition there. But yeah, after that, the only voice coming out of my avatar was my own. Occasionally you still hear my wife saying, "Are you still on that thing?" Right? And, so yeah, but, and fixed that too. Got her, we got her a headset, and now she's in VR with us. She helps us moderate these events, and she's a very talented world builder. Altspace, very lucky to have her. Okay, now let's see. Now, to upgrade your experience, I came up with what's called a Go Plus experience, and I call it this because when you're having this, when you're adding on. Wait, hold on. There we go. Yeah, Go Plus experience. I call it this because I found after I did the things I'm about to discuss, right, that I started to like go into worlds that were very performance heavy, and I noticed my fellow Go users, they like fall down into the floor or they disappear entirely as they crash, right? And when that happened, I would still be standing there because I made these like enhancements to the device that I'm about to discuss with you, right? And before I do, I want you to know that the products I'm about to discuss aren't the only products that work. They're just the products that I use and I feel comfortable recommending them. It's the ideas behind these products that matter, right? So if you want to try a different brand, different brand at a different price, feel free to, and maybe come back and tell us about it, tell us how it went, right? I love hearing about stuff like that, and how that worked out. And also you're going to get tempted maybe to write this stuff down. You're not going to need to, because listen, what we did was we made this stuff easy to get to. If you go to altvr.com, you're going to notice on the website on the upper left side, it says channels. And when you press on that, you're going to see all the Altspace event channels that we have, right? And you're going to see Ravenhall events listed there, like I said, on that sound booth up there. And if you click on that, you get taken to our event page. And on the left side of that page, you're going to see all these products listed out with links, for your convenience. You're also going to see a join Discord button if you want to join our Discord, help us put on events like this. You're also going to see the most important button on the internet, subscribe button. We don't get paid to do this, and if you press the subscribe button, not only does it let Altspace know that you enjoy our content, but it makes us feel good every time that number goes up. So it's a great way to say thank you. All right, so now what these products are is you have the Anker Power Core battery pack, right? And I got this to solve, my power issues, also because Oculus says to not use these devices while they're plugged in, but they say it's okay to use an external battery pack. So I figured I would start there. And this one was supposed to last for 16 hours. I didn't think I'd ever need to spend 16 hours in VR because, I like food and water and sleep and stuff like that, right? And when I ordered it, I also ordered it with the second item there, that cable. That's a MagSafe cable. And I ordered that MagSafe cable because, I had heard, and I don't know if you've noticed this, when you plug in your device, that connection, it's very tight. You're always pulling it in, pulling it out, and all that wear and tear, right? I heard people were having problems charging their device, and I figured, that was probably why, because the connection was getting loose and it wasn't making proper contact. So I figured, this would solve it, because one tip goes into the headset and it stays there. The other end of the wire, the USB port, goes into the battery pack, right? And then it's held in place by a magnetic connector. This is also a great safety feature. If you turn your head and it yanks on the cable, instead of getting that horrible feeling where your headset kind of like shifts to the side, right? What happens is the wire just pops right off. And you don't even have to come out of VR to fix it. You can just pick it up, hold it to the side of your headset, and they'll like thunk right into place. It'll even make that sound too if you have your microphone open, and your friends will go, "What was that?" And you're like, "That was power. That's what that was." You don't have to do that, which is what I did. I thought it was cool. All right, now this solved my power problem, right? And what happened was when I had, I forget my controller is like really weird. Every time I turn, it snaps me back. But yeah, every time, when I came into VR with this on, right, my power issues were over, but I've learned that I had a new problem, and that was that I was overheating all the time. Any of you guys overheat? Like a lot, right? It's pretty bad. It would happen to me a lot. Now, this is controlled by the faceplate on the Oculus Go, and that's installed by hand. And as such, people have different results with it. Some lucky few never overheat at all. Some people overheat, every half hour. I was one of those. I knew a guy who overheated every 2 minutes, and in the first go time, there was somebody here, and that their headset became deformed and all pushed in, right, because of the heat. And I knew this was something we had to solve. I had heard that some people were putting ice packs on their headset, and those ice packs, I didn't think that was a good idea because, honestly, you put an ice pack there and you get condensation, water, electricity on your face. Probably not a great combination there. So you got your hand raised there, Fergie. We'll be taking questions at the end. All right, so you can kind of hang on to that. Appreciate it. Thanks. But yeah, so, not a good combination, those things, right? And I had the people who were doing this, they went through more than one headset. So I don't think it's a safe thing to do. Fortunately, what we did come up with was this AC Infinity mini fan here, right? And this mini fan, it's small, it fits in the palm of your hand. It's USB, so it plugs right into the battery. And I figured this was going to solve the heating problem, and the day it arrived, I was set to moderate the meditation event in Altspace, and it's really an incredible space. They got these bowls with smoke coming out of it. It's on top of a mountain. It's a really cool space. And when I was set to moderate there, and every time I would moderate for them, I would overheat exactly 20 minutes in. I mean, it was just always 20 minutes. I'd overheat right that 20-minute mark. Boom, I'd overheat. And so this is where I decided I was going to test it. First, I had to figure out a way to attach it. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have this silver part here, right, facing the faceplate of your headset. And so what I did was I, acquired creatively a couple of hairbands from my wife, and I put them on my ear straps, and I crossed them over, and I wrapped them around the round rubber feet on it, right? And then it was facing there, and then I had all these wires coming down from the side. If you ever seen Star Trek Borg, I kind of felt like that. And I come into Altspace, and with the fan going on the lowest setting, and I walk up to Jeremy, the event host, really nice guy. And I said, "Can you hear my fan?" And he says, "Not at all. I mean, it's really whisper quiet. You really can't hear it." And he says, "No, I couldn't hear it at all." And I turned it up to medium. I said, "How about now?" He said, "A little, but it's not that bad." Then I turned it up at full blast. He goes, "Oh yeah, I could definitely hear that. You sound like you're in a wind tunnel." So just to be safe, I turned it down to its lowest setting. I never had to turn it up again. Here's what happened. 20 minutes came and went. I was still in the event, didn't overheat, right? So the event finished. And so I wanted to see, what the limit was. I was going to test it. So I went to another event, right? And the whole entire event, I didn't overheat at all. I'm thinking, this is awesome. Then I went to a third event. And after that, I went to my home space, hung out with my friends for a while, right? And then for the very first time, I left Altspace because I was tired. I didn't leave because I had to. I didn't leave because I was overheating. I didn't leave because, I ran out of power, right? It was the very first time I left Altspace by choice. And I had been in Altspace for months at that point. But this was the very first time I left because I wanted to. And it wouldn't be the last time. After that, I became super active. I moderated events a lot. I started hosting events a lot. And my device became super reliable, and yours can too. All you have to do is make a few small changes, and none of this is very expensive. You've got this mini fan here is about $10 or $11 US. You've got this cable here is about $7 US, and this battery pack's the most expensive part of it, which is like $50, $60 US. But you know what? It comes in different sizes, capacities, colors. So really kind of just feel free to find what works for you. All right. Okay. Now, that being said, there's still problems being on an Oculus Go. Right? And these are more of annoyances. I'm going to try to show you how to, deal with those. All right. The first one I'm going to discuss is a movement issue. Like, let's say I'm in the campfire and I'm hanging out and I turn left to say something to Fergie here. Right. And when I turn left, instead of turning left, I go straight. And I think, well, that was weird. So I go to turn on the right to say something to Hummingbird there. Right. And, tell them what's going on here. My controller's not working. And instead of turning right, I go straight again. And I think, wait a minute, what's going on? This is weird. So I go to push on my controller to move backwards. Instead of moving backwards, I go straight again. And I'm like, what is going on? And I start bashing on buttons and then keep smashing on those buttons. And no matter what I do, I keep moving straight, right? And next thing you know, I'm standing inside of an admin. There is nothing more frightening than standing inside of an admin, right? I saw things. I saw the past. I saw the future. It was just, I have nightmares about it. It was just really, not a good experience. But I tell you what, you can fix this pretty easily when this happens. If you find yourself moving in ways that you don't want to, right? What you want to do is remember that your trackpad, it's sensitive to heat, moisture, and touch, right? And all you need to do is reset that connection. And the way you do this is you take your thumb and without pushing down, very gently slide across from one side to the other, right to left to right, doesn't matter. But when you get to the other side, lift your thumb completely off the pad and cross over and come down and swipe again, right? So basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to I just moved in a direction I didn't want to. So then you'll just go swipe, 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 and then you move in the direction that you want to, and then you'll be moving, exactly the way you want. And that can help an awful lot. Now, occasionally you're going to notice when you come into Altspace or when you first put your headset on, you're going to get a message that says can't find controller, right? And you're going to be like, I just put a battery in this thing last night, right? Because that can happen. If your battery runs out, you're going to, find that, the device can't talk to the controller. But for one reason or another, your controller stops speaking to your headset. And this usually happens when you're in a rush. Like you got to host an event, you got to moderate an event, maybe you got a hot date. I've heard that can happen in here. And you're like, you go to come into Altspace and it says, can't find controller, right? They stop speaking. Maybe your controller found out about your headset's secret life, right? And you're like, oh, okay, they're not talking anymore. So what do? You don't even have to take your headset off to fix this. You just got to remember 2 words, double down, right? And what this means is, you just look straight ahead and the 2 buttons that are below your trackpad, you press and hold these down for about 4 seconds. What's going to happen is a little white light's going to appear on your trackpad. And when that occurs, you're going to, you don't even have to take your headset off, because if you have your headset off, you'd see that white light. If you're wearing a headset, you won't see that white light. But what you will see is after about 4 seconds, when you lift your thumb back up, right, you're going to be able, you're going to get your hand back. And you're going to go into the load screen. You're going to be like, man, I am sure glad I went to that Go Time event. That Michael Forrest, he knew what he was talking about. He really did. All right. And that'll take care of that problem. So if that happens to you, you're welcome. This other thing that can happen is when your screen goes dark, right? And this happens when, listen, everything that's in this room right here, right, this takes up memory and it stays in your headset. Now, Altspace has made a lot of, performance improvements so that it's become a lot more reliable and this doesn't happen as often. But what can happen is, let's say after this event, you go back to the campfire, right? Now we have this cool, effect at the end of the show where we press this red button on the wall here, right? And one of our Talon ships, I don't know if you've ever been to the Ravenhall Flight Academy, we got these Talon ships that you can fly, they're like hovercraft. One's going to fly down the street and it's going to go up over these trees here and it's going to land in the backyard. It's a really cool effect. And you know what? Even as cool as it is, when you're in the campfire in 20 minutes, you probably will have forgotten about it. And you know what? You're going to be talking to your friend and you're not even thinking about go time anymore, but your headset still is. That red button is in your headset and it's going to stay there until you reset your device, right? Now when that memory fills up, your screen can go dark. And when that happens, right, people will still be able to hear you if your microphone is off. All you have to do is say, I'll be right back, right? And press that bottom button on your controller, like that eject button, right? You hit quit. But if you press it by accident, you can press resume and come back into Altspace. It's pretty handy. But if you press quit, it'll close the app and then come back right back in, by restarting the app after you hit quit, right? And the best way to manage this is to get ahead of it before it happens. So if after this event, you know you're going to go to the campfire, just take a quick minute to restart the app, and that'll clear out all the memory, and this will cut down on that happening to you. All right, now, normally at this point, I give building world tips, but we are a little bit over on time. So if you guys want me to go over this, I can. But if you want me to just skip it, I can do that too. Show me some hearts if you want me to get into it. Otherwise, we'll go right to the questions. Yeah, give me some hearts if you want. Okay. All right, cool. So we'll skip it. That's fine. All right. So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to open up the floor for questions. So I'm going to make a raise hand button appear on your lower right as if by magic. There we go. All right. Now, if you have a question or a comment or anything like that, just press that raise hand button and we'll take your questions. Yeah, just like that. And while we're waiting for that list to fill up, you guys are on Twitter and you want to follow us, you can find us at Ravenhall @__Uncanny Valley. Also, we got a YouTube channel now. You can find us at Ravenhall Events. If you notice Raven Eye up there floating in the air, that's our camera. If you want to say hello, you can just wave to YouTube and be like, hey, YouTube, how's it going? We got Fire Breezy right here in the blue, 02. We got, we got Zom Monkey 03 right here. And I'm not quite sure what color that's green. Yeah, oh, good choice. Excellent. I wear green too. All right, but hey, YouTube, how's it going? Let's see, do we have any questions here? Let's see, we got one person on the list. We've got Fire Breezy. What's up? You're on the air, and I get to feel like a radio host. Can I tell it go backwards? Yes, I can. Cool. All right. All right, just figured I would try that. What's up? You're on the air, or you should be. You can press that consent button. You need to press that consent button. There we go. What's going on?
How come at certain points, the whole game will, or whatever will like freeze and then just start back up again?
When does this happen? Like, what are you doing when this occurs?
Like it'll sometimes it seems to just be at random. Like I could be playing at the campfire or here, the thing will freeze, everything around will be dark, and then it'll just start back up again.
Oh, then it'll start back up again, like some kind of lag. Yeah, that's probably more often than not. It can be a network issue, so you might want to check that, like maybe you reset your router, but that's on your end. Sometimes it can be that Altspace is just having, like if you're coming in during, like right now we're entering Altspace's busiest time of day. And as the user population goes up, it puts strain on the server. So occasionally you're going to have one of those stutter type events that can happen.
Okay.
But if you check your router, you reset your router, that's good. If your router has a dual band where it's got 5G and 2G, sometimes it helps to drop down to 2G because that makes it more reliable. Sure, it's slower, but it makes it a lot more reliable. I've done it, makes it perform better. And you can do that. Let's see if we have any other people on the list here. Let's see, we got Red Spark 8. What's going on, Red Spark?
Did you start off on Oculus Go?
Did I start off on an Oculus Go? Yes, I was on an Oculus Go for about 10 months and I loved it. Then I got the Quest, I tried that. And you're gonna find every device has its strengths and weaknesses. There's some things I still miss about the Go. And, but I let my mom try it and I'm never getting it back. So I'm just gonna have to miss it. Yeah, all right, but yeah, I started out on an Oculus Go, and I think it's a fantastic device. It really is great. It's a really great way to get started. It's a fantastic introduction to VR. Yeah, I don't see anybody else on the list here, but if anybody else does have any questions, we're gonna be heading on over to the Ravenhall Flight Academy to teach you guys to fly if you don't know how. But if you have any questions, you can catch us there, right? If I didn't get to you. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna press this red button on the wall here. And if you did learn anything here today, please pass it on to people you come in contact with. That's kind of how we help keep this thing going, right? So we're gonna push this button here, right? And look out the window because you're gonna see the Talon hovercraft go down the street as soon as I push this button here.
Ravenhall Talon aircraft en route to your position.
There we are. All right. So now if we all go out into the yard area here, we can come down and meet it as it lands, and then we'll take the teleporter on out. You know, you've been a great audience, and thanks for joining us, and I hope you come with us to fly at the Academy. Let's head on out. All right. Here it comes. We'll land now. Awesome. It's going to put out a portal. Awesome. Thanks for joining
Talon
us.
aircraft is now boarding outside for transport to the Raven Hall Flight Academy. Please exit the building and step into the blue light. Thank you.
All right, everybody. See you next time. Thanks for coming.